It's time for Around the Gridiron with your co hosts, Marissa Voss and Brock Aaker.
What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of Around the Gridiron. You missed my voice. I know I've been out. Your girl is really busy all the time. It's exhausting working a full-time job and then having a second job and then having in a pandemic. We've been doing so much remote work, Brock. Like everyone in the office has removed remote and like I haven't, which is weird. But so like I've been doing that, and then I moved an office space and I got an allergic reaction, so I couldn't be on last week, which I'm super upset about. How did it go with Jeff? Just like an overall consensus. Was that good?
Yeah, Jeff came on and we had our probably most successful episode yet. We had over 40 views and 4 likes on
Nice.
YouTube alone. Jeff Turner was a great guest. He loved talking. I could tell he's willing to come back whenever. I thought it was really interesting how he literally walked in going to Tennessee. He ate out with his wife, thinking about if his wife was going to go to college in the Tennessee area for med school, I think it was. And then he walked across to the Titans news station and asked like if he could get a job, and they gave him like a job on the spot to work for the Titans, which was kind of crazy. So pretty lucky, but learning about his experiences and all the people he's talked to, Brett Favre, Dan Marino, was pretty crazy.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. I gotta meet this man. We have to have him on another episode. I'm sad I missed that. Holy crap. Brett Favre, like the Brett Favre.
Yeah, he said that he didn't know how to talk to him. He shook his hand. He's like, "You're a god," and
Really?
then he spaced out like the rest of the conversation or something. He said, "Yeah, even to this day," because I asked him about the awe factor, like since he's been working for a while, he has big people on his guest all the time. As if he's still in awe with some players he meets, and he's like, yeah, still like Brett Favre and Dan Marino that one day. That was just 2 years ago when he was working at Radio Row. So if you haven't listened to that interview conversation, definitely look that up at our YouTube Around the Gridiron. Definitely an interview you'd want to listen to.
Yeah, absolutely. So we looked at the past. Brock, take us towards the future. Your week 12 fantasy streamers, go for it.
Yeah, we'll do the fantasy right at the beginning of this episode. Last week, I hit a couple of Raiders last week with Derek Carr and Nelson Aguilar. They were the streams of the week at quarterback and receiver for me, and Carr had 3 touchdowns, and Aguilar got in the end zone too and got 80 yards. So coming off a decent week last week, I'll see if I have the same luck this week. At quarterback, my quarterback stream of the week is Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers is going against the Tennessee Titans, who he threw over 300 yards and a touchdown on Thursday Night Football just 10 days ago. The over-under is 51 in that game, and they're favored by 3. So Vegas expects them to get into the mid-high 20s again. And I expect the Titans, I don't know, the Colts running game is still non-existent, really. Taylor looked good, but the only person I'd really honestly trust is Phillip Rivers, who's starting to play better football here of late after beating the Titans and Packers a couple big games these last 2 weeks. At running back, again, the criteria for streams of the week is they're available in over 50% of leagues. So running back, it's kind of hard to find a streamer that's available in over 50% of leagues. But I gave you someone with big upside, and that's Devontae Booker. Booker had a touchdown and a good amount of yards against the Broncos 2 weeks ago when the Raiders had a big lead against the Broncos and they could just run the clock out. They play the Falcons this week. I expect that to be the case. And Booker got 2 drives to himself last week, kind of like what Mike McCarthy did a couple years ago with Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones. He gives each running back a series. Josh Jacobs still the guy, but Devontae Booker getting 1 series to himself last week and the possibility of his team getting a lead and where he could get some more work. I think Booker could be a sleeper this week at the running back position. Wide receiver, I'm more confident in this wide receiver. It's Anthony Miller of the Chicago Bears. They play against the Green Bay Packers this week, and Mitchell Trubisky is going to probably be the quarterback this week, as Nick Foles did not practice Wednesday. that's the day we're filming this, and Nick Foles didn't practice today. Last year against the Packers, Anthony Miller had over 100 yards and a touchdown, and that was with Mitchell Trubisky. Trubisky's back, and Miller is probably going to go off with Allen Robinson likely to go against Jair Alexander if he gets cleared from his concussion. And then tight end, I'm going to go with Jordan Reed going against the Los Angeles Rams. George Kittle had a touchdown and over 100 yards in their win earlier of this year. Obviously, Kittle's out for the year. Jordan Reed only available in 22% of fantasy leagues. I would pick Jordan Reed up and start him if you need a tight end and see if he can have the same amount of luck as George Kittle did just a couple of weeks ago. And that's my Week 12 streamers.
Woo! Hot takes. I'm like taking notes over here because I literally when I lost against you, I was so upset because if I would have put like on the bench, if I would have put one in, like I would have gotten like 2 more points and beat you. It was so close. I was like, what? And then the week after that was just an absolute shit show for me. It was so bad. Like I didn't have anyone. I couldn't, like, it was like all, like, I didn't even, like, my bench was bad. My starting lineup was bad. Like, I think I scored like 80 points. Like, it was that bad. And then this week I won, so which was really, really, really awesome. And then it's looking good for now this upcoming week. But we're going to look ahead as we love to do. And playoffs. Playoffs? You don't talk about no playoffs. No, it's a big thing, honestly, for the NFL looking forward in anything. And we're getting to that point in the season where we're looking for in the hunt on the bubble who's looking the best and making the best decisions. And Brock, I got to say, someone that I was really impressed with, and because, yes, they are my second favorite team in the NFL, Taysom Hill looked so good, and the Saints looked really good. And they're right now sitting at 8-2, first in the NFC South. They're looking pretty good right now. They're in the hunt. Obviously, no one's going to be like, they're going to clinch the division. They're going to do that. This is all speculation at this point, but they're looking really good. And honestly, obviously the only undefeated team in the league, 10-0 Steelers, first in the AFC North. What are you thinking about, this divisional race and this playoff race right now?
Yeah, this New Orleans Saints, obviously you said they're without Drew Brees. They have a nice easy schedule though. If Drew Brees had to get hurt at any time this year, this was the right stretch as they just play the Falcons. Now they play the Broncos before they play the Falcons again, and then the Eagles. So hopefully Drew Brees is back for Week 15 against Pat Mahomes. That'd be a great matchup there. But I don't see where Taysom Hill honestly loses a game here in his short stint. He's nothing overly special. He's got legs, obviously. He's good at running the football, and he can make enough throws that I feel confident that the Saints will still win with him. And I think they're going to go 13-3. Their only loss the rest of the way I see is against the Kansas City Chiefs, and I think they're going to end up getting that number 1 seed now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and this is the point in the year where you have to look at it black and white, right? You've got to say, as much as we love this team or this team, you got to figure out, okay, well, my team's probably not going to make it, or this team's probably not going to make it. And this is, if you think about it, I mean, you've got Steelers 10-0, you've got the Chiefs 9-1, Bills are 7-3, and this is all obviously AFC. Colts are 7-3, Titans are 7-3, Browns are actually 7-3. I mean, this is AFC is a pretty close to race you got for the playoffs, and those are all in the hunt. And then obviously on the bubble, which is probably surprised a lot of people, but Baltimore Ravens are just at like above 500 this year. They're 6-4. Same with Miami Dolphins, and then from then on, it kind of goes into the 4-6 and the 3-7s and everything else. So for the AFC, who are you probably the most confident that is going to get in and secure the spot early?
Well, the Steelers have a chance to clinch this week. So they're undefeated. If there's a couple teams that lose, I think it's the Raiders if they lose, and maybe the Browns and they clinch. But obviously they're pretty much locks. And the Chiefs, I got going 13-3. I got the Steelers going 14-2. Their 2 losses the rest of the season is against the Bills. I have them losing. And then I do think they're going to lose Sunday against the Ravens. Honestly, that game's going to be huge when it comes to the playoffs for the Ravens. Like you said, they're on the outside looking in. The interesting thing I got about the AFC is I got the Steelers as the 1 seed, the Chiefs as the 2 seed, the Bills as a 3 seed, the Titans winning their division. And then all of a sudden you have 3 teams that make the playoffs as a wild card this year. I was doing the math. The Browns, Raiders, Ravens, and Colts, I had all finishing 10-6, and there's only 3 spots for those 4. That means the Ravens, obviously, I don't even know if they would make it in that situation. They might be the odd team out of that 4, and I'm saying that if they beat the Steelers. So if they don't beat the Steelers, they're going to be having to climb out of a huge climb up a huge mountain if they don't pull up the upset against the Steelers this week. That's a big game. It got flexed to Sunday. But Lamar Jackson, John Harbaugh, they have to get something going. They've lost the last 2 weeks. They can't afford to lose 3 straight.
No, you're right. Absolutely. And it comes as a shock, I think, for a lot of people to see the Ravens doing so in the middle this year in vanilla, as they were the team last year and they have been the team in the years past. And it's a little bit of a switch up, kind of a big switch up too. You can look at for the NFC is also the Vikings. You have so many components that are obviously, I say this because I'm a fan, but you just look at it, their offensive roster. You have arguably one of the best rookie wide receivers in the game right now, Justin Jefferson. He's doing great things. You've got Adam Thielen, who is one of the best wide receivers in the red zone, but they're 4-6. So it's a little bit of an off year, and they're on the bubble big time, right underneath. They're third in the NFC North, but right underneath the Bears. And then obviously the big honchos in this NFC is Saints, Rams, Packers, even though they lost to the Colts. And unfortunately, which is so crazy to me, is the Eagles are at like the 4th spot in the hunt right now, even above the Seattle Seahawks. Like, we've talked about this though. Remember when we said they're like, someone could win, with this bad of a record and still get into the playoffs, and that's looking to be the Eagles. And it just baffles me because I'm like, wow, they're so bad, yet they're above the Arizona Cardinals right now. They're above the Buccaneers and the Seattle Seahawks. Is that crazy to you? Because that just blows my mind.
Well, that's because each division winner gets to host a game, so you're automatically in the top 4. You'd be the worst record, obviously, who wins their division still gets a home game. That's why it's interesting that the Buccaneers, Tom Brady might be smart right now, as I talked to Jeff Turn last week too, that you'd rather be a 5 seed than the 2 seed in the NFC this year, because if you're the 5 seed, you end up going to play an NFC East team. I'm not so sure it's going to be the Eagles. In fact, I think it's still going to be the Cowboys that wins that decision or that division and will be the 4th seed. But whoever plays for the NFC East, you'd rather be the 5 seed going against that team. When I filled out the rest of my bracket in the NFC, I have the Seahawks ending up being the 2 seed. And that's the thing. I have the Cardinals as the 7th seed. The Seahawks are going to have to face the Cardinals, who they split this year, instead of the Bucks playing the Cowboys, the Bucks being the 5 seed. So as you can see, you would rather go to an NFC East team than play home against the Cardinals, who I think most likely will end up being that 7th seed. So that's the interesting thing about the NFC and why so many people kind of want to get rid of division winners automatically making the NFL playoffs, because of how the NFC East is going to kind of screw up the postseason of what seed you want in the NFC this year.
So one thing I'm going to ask is, which teams do you see having no chance, obviously making the playoffs? We have the Jets, no chance because they haven't won a game yet. You have Jacksonville Jaguars, who've only won 1 game. You've got Atlanta Falcons 3-7, the Washington football team 3-7. And you did say the Cowboys, you think they're still going to win their division, which honestly, the way they played against the Vikings, the way that Andy's back and they're moving a little bit better and grooving, I don't think you're wrong in that at all. But which teams do you look at and say, there's no chance you're making it?
What conference do you want to start with? AFC or NFC?
Start with AFC, since we just talked about NFC.
Okay, so yeah, the Jets, Jaguars, Bengals, Texans, Chargers, Patriots, and Broncos. I I don't see them having a real fighter's chance at all the rest of the season. So I eliminated them. I think the people that are just outside looking in right now, according to the NFL by the records right now, is the Ravens and Dolphins. And that's going to be the stretch as we see the last stretch of the season to see who gets those 3 wild cards. I think it's going to be big. The Titans and Colts play each other this week. That's going to be a big influence on who wins that division. I think the Titans end up winning their division. Even though I think they're going to lose this week, I think they're going to go 12-4. I have the Bills winning out. I think they're going to go 13-3. So then you look at the wild card, you have the Browns, you have the Raiders, the Dolphins, the Colts, and the Ravens. So you have 5 teams that are going to fill out those last 3 spots. So that's what I really see going down in the AFC. I think it's really a 9-team race to make the playoffs between the Dolphins, Ravens, Raiders, Browns, Titans, Colts, Bills, Chiefs, and Steelers. Some games to look out for. That's going to be a big in the deciding who's going to make the wild card. Is the Colts actually have a couple. They have the Titans this week. They also play at Las Vegas week 14. I think that's going to be a big game when it comes to decide the division. That's week 14. And then they play the Steelers, which is going to be tough on week 16. The Browns and Ravens playing a big game that could decide the wild card implications on I think it's week 14 as well. So week 14 for the AFC wild card, that's going to be the big week where we see maybe have more confidence in who's going to end up getting those last 3 wild card bids, as all 9 teams, those 9 teams that in the AFC, the 2 outside looking in right now, the Ravens and Dolphins, still have a real shot at making the playoffs. I think it's a 9-team race in the AFC right now.
Okay, let's switch gears. Give me the news. Give it to me straight on my Minnesota Vikings. Just point blank, do you see them potentially even beating out the Bears, beating out the Arizona Cardinals, or even Tampa Bay for a spot in this NFC divisional race and the playoffs picture?
They're going to have to get 10 wins to make the playoffs. So that means they're going to have to win out. They're going to have to beat the Bears twice in a season, which they've yet to do against Matt Nagy. But I think they can beat the Bears. I have them winning that game. But they have to play New Orleans and Tampa Bay as well, 2 of the better teams in the NFC. So they're going to have to beat both of them. I don't see that happening. Therefore, I have them at 8-8 and not making the postseason. But there's still a chance, but they have to win out, in my opinion, to make the playoffs now.
So, and it's so true and that's one of the main reasons why I got so upset at this last game. And we'll get a little more into that in this next segment, because you'll hear my frustrations and my upset. I was maybe throwing some things around my apartment. We don't want to talk about that right now. I had very big anger issues. But there is one team that's looking really good right now. They've secured their spot pretty well, is the LA Rams. They're in 2 right now, first in the NFC West. And it was a team that I didn't think was going to be that good this year, if I'm going to be real. I didn't think that they were going to do anything, and they've really shown themselves. And even, obviously, we know how good the Packers are, but that loss against the Colts on Sunday was really, really bad for them. And that was another reason why I wanted the Vikings to win so bad, because it would have just put them in a perfect position to keep going and going on 4 wins and getting that going up. What do you think about that Packers game? And do you think that is going to throw off their mojo and throw off for their schedule in the next couple of weeks and even the playoff picture?
I still have confidence in the Packers to win that division, obviously, as now they have a 2-game lead. The Bears, I guess they're only 2 games behind the Packers. They get to play the Packers twice, so they still control their own destiny in the North. But I think the Bears are going to end up being 8-8, like the Vikings. So the Packers, I have them going 12-4. I think the only game they lose the rest of the season is against the Tennessee Titans. I have the Packers as the 3 seed. You talked about the Los Angeles Rams, and I guess that can go back to the Vikings too. The Rams play the Niners this week. The Niners also play the Cardinals one more time, and the Seahawks twice. So if you're a Vikings fan, you're also going to be a San Francisco 49er fan, as they're playing a lot of the wild card teams, because assuming if the Vikings don't make the playoffs, it's going to be 2 NFC West teams. And for them to make it, they're going to have to beat up on each other. So if you're Marissa, you're going to have to be cheering for the 49ers the rest of the way, because they're going to be playing against a lot of the teams that the Vikings are trying to fight against to make a wild card. I think the Rams don't win the division. I think they end up being the 6th seed. I think that I still like the Seahawks winning that NFC West.
Yeah, I've got I did have 2 and then I switched him out because he was bad, but I've got at least Jerick McKinnon on my team for the 49ers, so always got to root for him, and I'm not even mad about rooting for the 49ers. I think that I'm very skeptical. As anyone knows, a Minnesota Vikings fan is like the most optimistic person every single year, without doubt. Like, for some odd reason, we're always like, no, this is our year. I'm like, why are we like this? We get our hopes up and then it just comes crashing down every single year. But I mean, it's kind of the way it goes with football as well. Brock, is there anything else we didn't cover in this playoff run, and looking at, who's on the bubble, who's getting a lock, and who is just not having a chance, you want to cover before we switch gears?
The Buccaneers, I guess that's the big one. I had them winning the division, but with them losing to the Rams this past week, as we mentioned, with the Rams looking good, I don't think the Buccaneers will win the division, as the Saints have an easier schedule. But I don't not trust Tom Brady like a lot of people are giving him grief. I honestly think the Buccaneers have a good chance of securing that 5 seed and possibly winning out if they can beat the Kansas City Chiefs this week.
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess that's a bit.
That's it, Tom Brady. Oh man, that man. He's rough. He's rough right now. But we'll get to that in a little bit later. So we're gonna switch gears now. We're gonna talk more about, the Vikings and, Tom Brady and Joe Burrow, and just kind of the yikes it felt like last week was, at least if for me. I felt like a lot of things I was like, yeesh. But with the Vikings, I'm just gonna go in because you guys need to hear my frustrations on why I'm so upset. Overall, they were looking really good. I mean, they won 3 in a row, and yeah, were they pretty easy wins, but at the same time, they weren't easy. They weren't that easy. So they proved themselves, and Dallas looked to be a pretty easy game, I would have thought. And then Dalton came back, and that was a big changer for that Dallas team. It really was. And Zeke had a pretty good night, which is Zeke is very uncharacteristic. He can be up and down and left and right, in my opinion. But one of the big things I thought we didn't do, obviously, it was our defense. Our secondary is absolutely horrible. Always has been, but always will be this season. So that doesn't change. But my thing is Justin Jefferson, he made that amazing, it was like 50-yard throw, and he was beautiful catches that are so hard, right? And then you get to when you have less than a minute or 2 minutes left, and you have a wide open catch to get the first down, and it's literally just like it was literally like that. I don't understand that. Like, I don't get how you get paid so much and you can't make that catch, but you make all these unbelievable catches. So for me, that was a big point where I was like, Jefferson, this is the first time I've actually been upset at you. Yes, you're so good, but we were rooting for you. Like, we were all rooting for you. You get that, you make that conversion, and you get 4 more opportunities to push it down the field and potentially get something and even tie the game. Do you agree with that statement? I don't know if you caught that, or caught the tail end of that game or saw that, but I thought that was a big turning point where I thought, if he gets this and makes this catch, we're in. And he couldn't. It's a textbook catch. Every wide receiver needs to make that.
Yeah, that was definitely a bad drop, but I wouldn't put that game on Justin Jefferson. I'll put it on Mike Zimmer again, his defense, giving up 31 points to Andy Dalton. They just had trouble all over just stopping him. Just remember, before he got hurt, going against the Redskins, he looked awful. Going against the Cardinals, he looked awful. So I don't know. I think tomorrow's game, this is coming out Friday, so I guess yesterday's game with Andy Dalton and the Redskins, I'm excited to see if Andy Dalton's back against that Redskins defense, or if the Vikings is just that bad of a defense after them playing. The Vikings D's been playing well lately, so I don't know what was their problem, but I would put that game definitely on their defense more than that one drop by Justin Jefferson. But I agree with you. He definitely needs to make that catch.
Yeah, it's really hard. Our defense I've compared them to a lot the Seattle Seahawks. It's just we're so young, but the secondary is just horrible and it needs to happen. Like I said, if you make Andy Dalton look that good, like it's Andy Dalton. Like you can't make him look that good. He's not that good, but we made him look good. And it's unfortunate. And especially, like I said, all the offensive components we have, I still can't do the math. You have like the number one rusher, basically number one, number two in the league. You have Adam Thielen, who is doing amazing in the red zone. You have Justin Jefferson, who's a really good rookie right now. You even have all of these other components. I mean, you've got Chad Beebe making some stuff, Kyle Rudolph. You don't put out, Irv Smith. Dumbfounded. We pay so much money to have a defensive minded coach and he just can't do it. I'm so frustrated.
Well, you got a lot of injuries too. I think winning these past 3 games before that game gave the fan base hope again to make the playoffs. I know on the podcast I said they have a real chance at making it. They just had to win the games that they're favored to, and they were 7-point favorites last week. Again, they still have a chance to make the playoffs. I think they're going to need 10 wins to make it. They may only need 9 if, like I said, the San Francisco 49ers are your friend and can beat up the Rams, Cardinals, and Seahawks for you, or at least one of them, to really get out of that wild card race or give the Vikings or Bears a chance to get that 7 seed. But that loss just really hurts the Vikings big time, and the Rams won, making them look good. The NFC West is just those 3 teams, Rams, Seahawks, and Cardinals are really good, and then the Bucks and Saints, whoever loses that division, still that loser is still really good. It's just a tough year for the Vikings, or one of those outside looking in 8 through 16 in that conference, to make the playoffs, unless, again, the Steelers and Ravens got flexed to Sunday. They said they'll have a better idea Friday if they have control of the virus, but if not, they might have to move that game to week 18. And the NFL's come out and said it. If they move games to week 18, there won't be a bye for the 1 seed. They'll put 16 teams in the playoffs, meaning there'll be 8 teams in each conference. And if there's 8 teams that make the postseason, I think it's the Vikings or Bears that end up being that 8th seed. So it sounds bad, but the Vikings' only hope making the playoffs probably is if there's a COVID outbreak.
And that's so sad. It's like the only choice is people getting sick and us having moving stuff back. But if there's a will, there's a way. Like it's such a catch-22 for like a lot of fans. For me, like I love sports, but I would never like wish COVID on anyone to get in a better positional spot. I'm like, if we can't win out the right way, just don't give it to us. Like if we can't get to it and win the right way, I don't even like want it. I'm like, I just don't want it, because it's basically like the participation trophy you get at like when you do bad. You're like, you do so bad at sporting events, but they're like, here you go, at least you tried. Like, I don't want that. I wanted to get like second and I got like this participation trophy. This is dumb. Like,
how crazy would that be though, if they end up that happening and they get the 8th seed, like you said? You don't want it that way, but let's say that happens and they're the 8 team in, and the Saints are the 1 seed, like I think they're favored to be. You have that rematch, and if Minnesota again goes into New Orleans and the Saints lose that as a 1 seed in the opening round of the playoffs, I can't imagine the Saints fan base if that happens.
We do that again. Like we've done that for like 3 years in a row, where we just go and we play them and we beat them and we have no idea. Like all the times we played them, we haven't really had a chance, and we do it, and it's like, Saints, what's going on here? And if Drew Brees is out for that long and we're going against Hill, I mean, this could be a big shot. Obviously, you have Michael Thomas back, and you've got Alvin Kamara, and you've got Hill going, and I mean, there was one interception Hill threw where I was like, that was not good, but overall he looked pretty good. So Miracles can happen. Obviously, we've all seen the movie Miracle, so we all know that. If you haven't, what are you doing right now? Go watch it. Makes you want to run through a brick wall if you love hockey. But let's talk about someone who doesn't look like he needs to run through a brick wall anytime soon. Tom Brady. Tom Brady looks, I'm sorry. Tom Brady looks old right now. Last game, Tom Brady looked old. The look on his face when he threw that interception was just like, it's like a meme. It's like this. He's like he just looks tired, you know? He's thrown 9 interceptions this season. That's an all, I'm pretty sure it's like an all-time high for him. He's not used to throwing that many. He's not used to being off his game and off his rocker. And I'm saying that because he's old. Like, you know what I mean? But he's still super good. Like, it's ridiculous how old he is and how well he's doing. It's kind of like the Brett Favre thing where he's like, you're still like, you're at an age where everyone, like Andrew Luck, who's like so younger than you, retired. You know, all of these components that work into it, but he's just looking a little fried out right now. What do you think about that?
I think it's a lot to do with it. It's his first year with all these new wide receivers, a new system. He's been around, so people are wondering he's what, 43 years old. He's been in the league for over 20 years. He should be able to adapt fast. And my answer to that is I think he has. They're still 7-4, but the deep ball is so much chemistry built. It's so much feel for your receiver knowing where he's going to be at. And right now, he just does not have that with his wide receivers. I'm not going to count him out from getting that deep ball. It sounds like they're doing it in practice, but practice and game speed is still widely different, especially against the players that, you know, they're ready for. Most of the time when you're going against a defense for the Buccaneers they're going against, they're blitz, but they still have a safety high because they don't want to get beat by Mike Evans or Antonio Brown. While I think in practice, the Buccaneers are one of the defenses that blitz the most. So I don't know if in practice he's even seen a safety on top, and that might be the reason why he's doing good in practice. But either way, I'm not down on Tom Brady yet. I think they'll get things going here. Again, with great quarterbacks and Hall of Famers, I'm going to believe in them until they fully fall down flat on their face. 7-4, that's the number I keep looking back at. The Buccaneers are still 7-4 and right where they need to be. Like I said, if they get the 5 seed and they have to play the NFC East, all of a sudden they have a path to still have a chance to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, absolutely. There's always the saying that I love to look back on. It's great teams, great players find a way to win. You know, if you are a truly great team, you're going to find that way to win. You're going to find the way to get in the playoff race. You're going to find the way to get in the divisional race. That's just how it is. And Tom Brady is great. I used to be pissed when people would tell me that. I used to like deny it till the, sun went down. But it's just the fact of the matter is he's doing what he's doing. He's got so many trophies. He is one of the greats. He will be a Hall of Famer. There's no doubt in my mind. So yes, I think that, and I think that's a lot to do with it, the chemistry. I mean, like I said, that's why rookie quarterbacks and so many of these things have a hard time in their first year because you got to build that chemistry. And that doesn't come in a season. That comes, with time and age, and it comes with you being there for so long, right? You can't be the odd man out and then get in and be like, oh, we're all friends now. We're going to learn all the routes and we're going to do all this and everything's going to be easy peasy. Like, no, it's not. It's hard. One thing I'm going to say, we're going to go on to the next thing about talking about, right, rookie quarterbacks, something that hurts. This one hurts. Joe Burrow's injury, not even as a Bengals fan being like, oh, we have a chance. They're not that good. They don't have a chance. It just sucks to see a rookie with so much potential and do so well in the league and have everything and then have him, he tears his ACL and MCL and he has to do reconstructive surgery. That's something that sticks with you. You have obviously know all the knee injuries and all the injuries and Alex Smith and all these things that go in. Brock, are you genuinely worried about this affecting Joe Burrow's career starting out? And, will this have a lasting impact on him?
Well, there was structural damage and more damage than initially I thought, which isn't a good sign. But with the doctors nowadays, with all the intel they have, all the rehab, you have, what are they, physical therapists. I'm not that worried about him coming back. You see Alex Smith, he's going to be starting on Thursday, Thanksgiving against the Cowboys after, if not the worst knee injury a quarterback's ever come back from. And Joe Burrow's still really young, and when you're young, you still heal faster than when you're in your 30s. So I don't think it's going to impact his career. I still think he has a bright future ahead of him. The thing that might worry me a little bit is the Bengals at the beginning of next year, because since there's more than initially was, they said it's a 9-month to 12-month recovery, which would put him right up to that first opening week of the 2021 regular season. So he's no lock to start the season as the quarterback next year because of that injury. That's the one thing I'd be worried about, but I still think he has a bright future ahead of him here in the next, hopefully, 10 to 15 years.
Let's talk about the chances of him not coming back. Are they gonna have to draft a rookie quarterback, do you think? Are they gonna have to draft another rookie quarterback, or are they gonna just try to do free agency, pick someone up, maybe, bring someone up, do those kinds of things? Because we've talked about this. We've had the Trey Lance talk. We've had all of these other talks. We've had the Trevor Lawrence talk. What would be maybe the best route for this Bengal team to take in case the injury and the rehab is longer than expected?
I think they would know by next end of April. By that time, if the knee injury is awful, that they don't think he's going to be the same player. But I don't think they're going to be drafting the quarterback in the draft next year. I think they're going to be drafting offensive linemen. So when Burrow comes back, they keep him healthy. I could see them signing Ryan Fitzpatrick or some veteran next year if they think Burrow's going to be out a week or two, just to see if they're, with their experience, that they can give him a win, a game or two the first couple of weeks that he's gone. But I don't expect the Bengals to draft the quarterback at all or sign a young rookie quarterback like a Cam Newton or anything. I think they're going to obviously still think Joe Burrow's going to be their guy the rest of hopefully the next 10 to 15 years.
Yeah, absolutely. One more quick comment that you made. You mentioned Ryan Fitzpatrick. You're thinking that he's just going to be out of the Miami Dolphins? Do you think that he's going to be like going to free agency or just leaving the team? Because he is now designated the starter for this weekend. Tua is now benched. So what are you thinking about that? What's your thought process?
They came out with that now. Fitzpatrick is starting. I thought Tua was starting.
I thought I just saw that someone said Tua was benched. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm almost positive I saw on Twitter that they said Tua is not starting. If that is wrong, then yeah. So 3 hours, Tua jammed his left throwing thumb in practice.
Huh. Wow.
So that might be a thing where that's what I thought I saw, where Tua might be benched and Ryan's making his move up, just because, like I said, you can't obviously, it's your throwing thumb and it's jammed, but it must have been a pretty bad jam. Usually when I jam my thumb, I just pull it out like a G and then I'm good to go. So I don't know if that's it's something really, really bad, but yeah, I think that's going to be maybe a case for Ryan, because it says it looks like, they're going to monitor it, but it looks like it's more going in favor of Ryan Fitzpatrick starting on Sunday.
Unless that Ryan Fitzpatrick starts this week and leads the Dolphins to a Super Bowl and wins it, which is probably not going to happen. No, I don't think Fitzpatrick's on the Dolphins next year. It's to his team when he's healthy. He had a tough game against the Broncos where he got benched, but that was just one game. This is definitely to his team. When you spend a top 10 pick, you're going to ride them out at least a couple of seasons. So, and no injury is going to stop them unless they don't think he's going to play another snap, really. So, yeah, I think this is definitely to his team. I think Fitzpatrick could go to a place where he might be able to start a game or two if someone's injured, or be a backup and know that he will be a backup, so he's not blindsided like he was this year when Tua out of nowhere ended up being the guy after the bye week.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. Wow, I actually kind of knew something before Brock knew it. This is like a new feeling. I think I'm better than everyone. Like this is a cool feeling.
Yeah, if
You're the
Fitzpatrick
guy that
starts
knows.
this week, you got me.
I
You
got
definitely
you. Let's go. Okay, so we're gonna do a little bit of a small preview of week 12, but then we're gonna go into the meat and potatoes and see if I can beat Brock again in the lock and upset. But just give me, two of the games, two or three max that you're really looking forward to and that you think are going to be probably like even America's games of the week or Brock's games of the week.
Definitely the Chiefs Buccaneers is the biggest game of the year, possibly. When you have Tom Brady, the GOAT, going against the possible new GOAT of the NFL coming in with Patrick Mahomes. That's the best game, obviously, of the week. And then you got some good divisional games between the Titans and the Colts, which will be big for the division race. And then the Ravens need to get back on track against the Steelers. Otherwise, they're going to be really hard to get back into the postseason for the third straight year with Lamar Jackson. And how crazy would that be, him being MVP, everyone's favorite to finish winning the division, coming back on the Madden cover, and them not even making the playoffs. Those are the three games like that I think are the biggest when it comes to this Sunday. Bears and Packers Sunday night is going to be a good one as well. I think those teams always make it close when you have a big rivalry like that. So three big division games between the Packers, Bears, Titans, Colts, Ravens, Steelers, and then the big one at 325 is obviously Mahomes versus Tom Brady. Another great Sunday of NFL football.
Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. So is there no, since that game got flexed, the Steelers and Ravens, is there no Thursday football or do they have some Thanksgiving
Well, it's
stuff?
Thanksgiving, so you got the Lions playing. I guess yesterday because this is coming out Friday
Yeah,
at
I guess.
11:30
Okay.
against the Texans, and then the Cowboys against the Redskins. There's no Thursday night football, but there's the two games in the afternoon, so everyone can go to bed at good night, I guess, Thursday night and get ready for Black Friday shopping online.
Oh, look at that. You've already got a plan. He's already planned his entire football thing. He's like, okay, I'm going to do this, this, this. And then secretly, I'm going to go Black Friday shopping online and no one's going to know that I do this.
I actually already did my Christmas shopping. I did
What?
my Christmas shopping at Dick's just a week ago.
Oh my gosh. Stop being ahead of me and everything. I literally haven't even thought about Christmas presents. Like, I have, but not for everyone else. I went kind of Christmas shopping with my mom because she needed my help. But other than that, I'm like, oh my God, I've got to think about that. My paycheck cannot pay that. Like, I'm like, I can't. I've got so much bills and work. I haven't even. I'm gonna wait for Cyber Monday. Cyber Monday is the one to go. I think that's gonna be the big pandemic, especially since is Black Friday gonna even happen? I mean, it's a pandemic. People don't go out.
I
Stay
think Black
inside.
Friday is kind of like Cyber Monday. I think most of the deals are still online. I just want to see Amazon like this next week, their warehouse. That's got to be really crazy. And hopefully no one there gets COVID, because if someone gets an outbreak there, I don't know what's going to happen this Christmas.
No idea. I don't know. Christmas is canceled. If that happens, which is crazy. Oh my gosh, this pandemic is driving me nuts. We're living through history, y'all. We're living through history. That's all I gotta say. But maybe let's live through some other history where I upset Brock and he gets two of them wrong and I get two of them right. Let it go to the best segment of the show, best for last, lock and upset. Brock, take it away. You start it. Who do you have for your lock and upset this week in week 12?
Well, my lock is definitely this week is the Arizona Cardinals. My New England Patriots look awful against Deshaun Watson and the Houston Texans. And the Houston Texans didn't have an offensive line. Laramie Tunsil was hurt. Their left guard was out, yet we could still bring no pressure on Watson. And they didn't even have a run game. The Cardinals have a better offensive line, even possibly a better quarterback with Kyler Murray. And they have a run game with Kenyon Drake and Chase Edmonds. I think the Cardinals go into Arrowhead across the country and kick the crap out of us. My lock is Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals. My upsets this week is Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're not going to lose back-to-back games. They haven't lost back-to-back games this year. Going against the Kansas City Chiefs, I know that's tough on a short week to play against Patrick Mahomes, but Tom Brady's got to be tired of all this media getting on him for being 0 for 19 or whatever on deep balls. I know there's people saying that he didn't shake hands with Jared Goff or any of the players that he's lost to. And whenever you doubt Tom Brady or give him bulletin material, that's when he goes out and performs. I think that's going to be a shootout. It's going to be great. You got Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Rob Gronkowski, Tom Brady. That game is going to be a show that's going to maybe last forever because there's going to be so many touchdowns in that game, long drives. This is the game of the year, and I mean the game of the year. And I think the Buccaneers get the upset.
Who else is ready to like run through a wall right now? Like, that was amazing. I'm just ready to run through a brick wall. Like, let's go, football. Beautiful. Well done. All right, so big one for me, lock of the week. We've got to go with no one circles the wagon like the Buffalo Bills. I'm taking, obviously, the Buffalo Bills over the LA Chargers. I think that this is the Buffalo Bills' year. They're doing really well right now, obviously, sitting at, 7-4? 7-4.
7-3 at top of the AFC East.
Yeah, see, I'm telling you, it's their year. I have good feelings about them. Yeah, we wavered a little bit with our 3 losses, but they're still back and better than ever. My boy Stephon Diggs is looking as beautiful as ever. So I got to go them with my lock. And then my upset, this one, which one? Because isn't Tennessee favored?
No, the Colts are favored.
Really? Good, because I picked the Tennessee Titans and Derrick Henry over the Colts because, yes, they did beat Aaron Rodgers, but we all know Aaron Rodgers from time to time. He can't be perfect. He can't be a Tom Brady. I don't know. It's just too much of a dad bod for me to even ever think that. But I'm liking what the Tennessee Titans are doing, and I think that they're going to take that, and Derrick Henry is actually going to have an absolute monster of a game because how can you ever tackle him? He stiff arms you, and you're done. So I'm taking the Tennessee Titans as my big upset, and then my lock, obviously, the Buffalo Bills. And if we go both 2-0 on this, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I think I'm just gonna jump for joy. I don't know. I'm gonna be happy. I don't know. I'm gonna be excited. That's all. I have a good feeling about this.
Not every day, every week, Tom Brady is an upset and Derrick Henry is an upset. So. Yeah, we definitely picked a couple profile teams, but obviously the Colts and Chiefs are great too. So it'll be a fun week, and I'm just excited fantasy-wise. I hope everyone has good luck and everyone enjoys their Thanksgiving break.
Yeah, from all of us, as in all, I mean Brock and I, from around the gridiron, happy Thanksgiving.